Thank you. How's it going? Good. Awesome. Only 4 hours to go until the casino cruise. You guys excited? I'm excited. All right, cool. Well, we have 25 minutes. I'm not going to use the couch. I'm just going to, walk around, and hopefully that'll be enjoyable for you guys. But so I guess I'd like to start with a question and quick quiz. Who can take a guess? Like, what do you guys think? Who's currently the fastest growing enterprise SaaS today in North America? Not in financial services, across all industries. Amazon. Yeah. All right. Give you some little hints. 1.1 million daily active users, 100,000 new paid seats every 2 months, and then they have about close to 10,000 support tickets every month. Slack. Anybody has heard about these guys? No. Slack is basically their enterprise. I mean, they also sell like one-to-one, but they kind of like your internal messaging system, kind of like Yammer, just on steroids. And I was fortunate. They're also from Vancouver. We're from Vancouver in Canada. And I had the chance to meet with a VP of product development a couple of months ago. And that's, Curtis, that's phenomenal. Like, you guys are truly like killing it. I mean, they're on track to probably do like $100 million in recurring revenue by the end of the year. And last year they did about 10. I mean, like, phenomenal growth. And so, what's the secret? And say, well, it's all about the way we build our products. So simple UI, really like looking at what type of problem we want to solve for our clients at the enterprise level, and then spending a lot of time and a lot of energy into training, onboarding, and best practices. And obviously, they're doing a phenomenal job. Now, we talk about adoption, and that's the theme of this year's conference. There was an interesting study produced not long ago, and really it outlined the fact that over the past 4 years, there's been more and more adoption of like enterprise SaaS products, but feels like the adoption rates, remain pretty flat. I mean, you'll hear numbers like anywhere between like the 10, 20, 30%, which in my opinion is very, very low. I mean, if you think about like you as an enterprise investing $500,000, $1 million or more, and only seeing these type of ratios, that's not a good return on investment. There's really 3 pillars. You'll have companies that tell you there's more, but like really at the core of a successful adoption of a product, there's 3 pillars. We talk about technology, people, and organization. Technology, it's got to solve these problems, got to be easy to use, etc. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it. There's the people. People are your users. So what are their pain points, and what is it that they want to get out of the app, right? Like, is it time saving, making more money, efficiencies, etc. And then the organization, that's you guys, the sponsor organization, whether you partner with a vendor or you buy the technology, what is the type of awareness that you have in place at every single level of the organization to make sure that your user are going to be using the tool and going to be actively using the tool as well. So this is what drives success. Now, if it was that easy, we would not be in that room, taking notes and, wondering, okay, well, where are we missing the point? There's a lot of barriers. I mean, there's more than what I have on the screen. I want to talk about 3 very quickly. The first one is training. I mean, in my opinion, training is one of the most important things. Yes, it's so affordable, right? When you compare like the cost of like buying these products and the lack of ROI versus like spending a little bit of time and investing into training, I feel it's like the one thing that is the easiest to fix. Value, I mean, when you look at your users, is there a good connection, or do you communicate well on the benefit of the tool throughout the life cycle? Like, always re-emphasizing this is what our users are doing, they're doing a good job, and you're going to be successful as well. And then complexity, you think about like the ease of use of an app and how you talk about it with your advisors. If it's complex, I'll tell you a story, right? Like, I'm not going to name the company, but they had a fantastic tool back in a couple of years ago, and they saw a lot of adoption, like signing up a lot of people through the web, but very, very poor support, and they just blew up. and you know, that's what we see, and it's a shame. But these are some of the common barriers that we see. So we run a SaaS company, and when we look at our metrics, one of the things that is the most important to us is active users. I mean, what's an active users? Basically, is a user that is using our app, and you know, how often do they log into the system on any given time? So whether it's like a monthly or a quarterly, and typically it's a number that most vendors out there would report to the client. If they don't, you should ask for it. But what's super important about active users, it really comes about that onboarding, and we call that the activation. A lot of companies refer to the aha moment. Essentially what the aha moment is taking one new client or one new user that is starting with a program, which is a trial or whatever, and then reaching a point of activity in the app where they feel like they are seeing value into the program. And so I'm going to give you a couple of examples. With Facebook, the aha moment is getting a user to get 7 friends or more within 10 days. With Twitter, it's a user starting to follow 30 people or more. And then with Slack, again, that I've talked about earlier, it's 2,000 messages exchanged across the organization. 93% of those, so 93% of all the clients that Slack on board every month that reaches that threshold are still using Slack today. I mean, that's phenomenal activation, right? Really, the goal as a software vendor is to get these clients to their aha moment as quick as possible, because I know that my product is going to stick and it's going to see value in the offering. So I have a question, and you know, usually I don't get a lot of answers to that one, but I'm curious, like, what's your active user number? I mean, are we talking about like 15%, 25%, 50%? Like, who gets more than 50% in the room? Don't be shy. Okay. All right, so not to brag, maybe just a little bit. That's why I have, you know, Super Moose here on the screen. Our active user rate is 80%. I mean, there's no mystery, right? Like, there's things that we do that work really well, and I'm going to share those with you in a minute. But going back to the Slack example, it all starts with great UI, like great usability, super easy to use. And there's a great book that was written by Steve Krug's a few years ago. That's the new edition. I mean, if you want to learn more about usability, you should definitely go and get that book on Amazon. And it talks about the benefit of something very, very simple. Don't make me think, you know, straightforward, so that I can get from point A to point B within a couple of clicks. The benefit, when we look at it at software at the enterprise level, is tremendous. To put that into perspective, again, Amazon.com, right? Like a couple of you guys talked about it earlier. One of the biggest companies in the world. They're doing really, really well. And I mean, I was told at any point in time on Amazon.com, they're running up to 1,000 experiment, usability, A/B tests to always better their system. One thing that they rolled out a couple of years ago, you know, when you go on their website, you want to make a purchase, they have this review at the bottom, and they ask that question, was this review helpful to you? And so they did a lot of tests, and it came up that actually by just adding this to their product, they increased sales by 20%. I mean, like if you want to put that into perspective with the scale of Amazon, like we're talking about billions of dollars, that's pretty terrific. But they also saw user rate like going through the roof. So that's just one example of, you know, usability and making things a little bit easier. The next thing that we want to talk about is onboarding, because all right, now we have an awesome product. It looks great. Our users are going to be able to use it. Okay, how do we onboard them, and how do we fast track their onboarding? That's what we call our secret sauce. So I'm going to share 4 little things that we do and really help us get to that 80%. Because when you think about it, new users come to your platform and they don't really know what's expected of them. Like, you know, what do I have to do? Where do I go to get help, to get assistance? You know, how do I ask for support, etc. It can be confusing. So what we looked at is, you know, we wanted to streamline it, again, point A, point B, be in the middle, and make it super easy for our client, you know, to get the answer that they need, or at least proactively engage them to get the answer that they don't know that they need. So the first thing that we do, and part of our onboarding, we call that the first 100 days. So when somebody signs up with us, we have a 100-day campaign, and we know that if we nail it, they're going to be a client for like 6 years, 10 years, and so forth. So we have a series of onboarding emails and communication pieces that we send to client. I mean, it starts with something super simple, just an email from our CEO welcoming them to advisor websites. And then a sequence of email and postcard and maybe flowers in the mail, or we experimenting with a lot of things. But the result, it translated to 25% faster onboarding. Just these little things. The second item, and I know we're going to talk about, I think, gamification later this afternoon. I'm super excited. I think it's going to be really, really fun. We reward positive behaviors because we know what are the activities and the milestones that we need our client to reach to be successful, to see value into the software. So here I have an example on the screen, but we have a checklist. So when somebody starts and get an account with us, we want them to do these 3 or 4 little steps because we know they're going to see value into the program. As soon as they reach these steps and they complete their checklist, they get a little message in the app with like a cool, fun little videos from our project manager, saying, hey, you know what? Good job. High five. You did it. Now let's take you to the next level. We also make sure that we time every single messages, so the system that we use will listen to all the activities that our user are doing and having with the app. So one of the things is we make sure that if somebody, for instance, go and they're ready to publish their website, but they're struggling, they can't figure out how to connect their domain name to their website, right? Like they want to go live, they're super excited, they can't figure it out. So as soon as they go and visit twice that page and did not activate the live account, we send them a quick little message, say, hey, you know what, you're struggling, we get it, here is a guide that's going to help you out, hopefully, and then we follow up with a phone call. Again, great success with this. And then finally, we make sure it's relevant. So again, we track everything, right? It's the beauty of the cloud. Like, data is so cheap that, you can track everything that you want. And we're able to see, all right, well, here is an example of an advisor. They just posted their blog, like a blog article for the first time. And again, congratulations. Yeah, great job, like you getting there. Now, did you know that you could do X, Y, and Z to do even a better job, right? So it's all about like really pushing the boundaries, getting them to use it again and again and again. And these are just 4 examples of all the things that we communicate with. So we talked about a lot of these barriers earlier, right? So there was like the complexity of making sure the UI is simple, etc. There's other things that can really help drive the activity. We heard Orion earlier talking about integrations. For me, I think integration and leveraging the right integration is going to remove a lot of hurdles for you guys. But the reality is there's just so much tech that advisors use. I think too many. So when I look at our client and the integration that they activate at the enterprise level, I want to make sure that they activate the right tools that both the head office and their advisors are going to see value. And how do we quantify value? Again, for an advisor, it could be, well, you know what? I want to save time, or I don't want my coordinator to spend hours and hours and hours doing these tasks when it could be streamlined. What is that? Oh, well, we have a little technology glitch, I guess. But I don't want him to spend hours and hours, doing these tasks. So I want efficiency, save time, save money, or make more money. So this is the beauty of life. I guess there's no more slides. Here we go. So that's an example with our red tail integration, right? So when we talk about efficiencies and being effective, the web form on the website, collect the information for prospect and existing clients, connecting into red tail, save you time, being able to trigger a workflow, maybe like onboard a new client, populate, or trigger an account creation form, make you more money, right? Very simple. And then the final thing is support, because I talked about the importance of support and training, and it's affordable compared to everything else that you could do, and you got to deliver the best support that you can do. And I want to tell you a bit of a story. Who knows Zappos? Yeah, you guys, all right, cool. So Zappos, funny story. So a few years ago, Tony Hsieh, he's their CEO, and he's meeting with a lot of like their top clients in a hotel in Las Vegas. It's late at night, and they're hungry, and they call, the concierge at the hotel and say, hey, you know what, like, can you get us some pizza delivered to the room? And the guy said, well, it's too late, like, we can't deliver, everything is closed. So Tony, just as a joke, tell his clients, well, you know what, why don't you call our support line, with 24/7, and I'm sure one of our CSR will be able to help you out, as a joke, right? Now, of course, client, pick it up, call the CSR line, speak to one of their rep. The rep actually went out of their ways, called a lot of pizza chains, got when I was open, got the pizza delivered to the hotel room, and the rest is history. Why do I tell you this story? Well, simply put, delivering great service is going to increase satisfaction rating, it's going to increase activities, adoption, and get you more referrals. Now, on the flip side of good service is bad service, and I think everybody has been guilty and not doing a great job at customer service. But very briefly, these are some of the impact. If somebody has a bad experience with any type of services or any type of software, most likely they're not going to use the tool again. Worse, they could tell their colleagues about their bad experience. Even worse, they could tell a lot of people not to use it. I mean, you've all heard about this story. You get a great experience, you tell one person. You get a bad experience, you tell like 10 or more, right? These are the impacts. So I want to finish and I want to finalize all this and close these loops with one success story. HootSuite, fantastic company again. In Vancouver, they're doing really, really well. And we have a good relationship with them. They're one of our integration partners. I was fortunate to get a lot of information from them about their approach to adoption at the enterprise level. So they don't have 3, they have 4 pillars. But again, ease of use, that's technology. Customer success, that's the people. Training, that's the organization. And then they have a 4th item, which is content library, because they've realized that one of the pain points of their advisors and their client was content. Simply put, advisors, they don't know what to talk about on social. They need help. So that was the extra that HootSuite was throwing in there. But I want to spend some time on the training, because that's something that I feel they're doing awesome with. So that's the training program, 3-tier, 3-level. It starts on the left-hand side, individual. It's basically the initial onboarding, teaching the advisor how to use the product, how to use it well. Then they create what they call group training. And essentially, it's like working with the organization on specific skill sets that they want their advisor and the head office stakeholder to learn, because they want them to be very, very proficient, not just with HootSuite, but with social and social selling in general, because they feel that if the advisors know what's expected of them, they're going to be able to connect the dots and really see value in using the software. And finally, organization. They just created a new program, which is basically like social media certification. I think it's through Syracuse University, and they're getting their enterprise client to go through this curriculum. It's like 25 hours. I mean, that's when I talk about like investing a little bit of time in training. But then at the end of the day, these enterprise clients, these financial services firms, they know everything there is to know about social. They know as much as HootSuite knows, and they're seeing fantastic results. The results, they speak for themselves. Adoption rate, 55%, outstanding. Now, but if you put that in comparison to the direct competitors, 10% on average. I mean, it's like 5x. Remember that ratio at the beginning of the presentation? That's that. 5 times more adoption by putting these pieces in motion. So I want to leave you with 2 things. The first is a quick action plan. I mean, it's could be more advanced than that. But this is what we do at Advisor Websites. Every new client and enterprise account that we onboard, we go through this. Like, we don't try, if you want to buy 1,000 seats from me, I'll sell it to you. But essentially, I want to start with what we call a closed beta or proof of concept. We're going to work with a small group of champions, and your champions are advisors, they are top producers, early adopters. They're keen to use new tools and softwares. And whether you work with us or with somebody else, this works almost every single time. You want to engage these advisors, and you want to get them invested every step of the way on that proof of concept. And invested mean you don't want to give them money. Like, they got to be emotionally invested in seeing it as a success. A lot of the top producers, they feel like they want to share the knowledge, they want to share the experience. I think a lot of them care about seeing their peers be successful as well. So harness that. Then collect the feedback and make sure that you share all that great results and ROI with your VPs, your CMOs, so really get some buy-in from head office. Work with the vendors and make sure that you have a rocking training manual or training schedule, right? Like we talk about the onboarding, the importance of training, and then share all these successes and all these wins that you had with your champions with all the other advisors. And finally, deliver that training. I mean, whether it's like webinars or in person, through your practice manager, through like your community leaders, your facilitators, whether you're recruiting a new advisor, putting them through the program, and then repeat. It's like a never-ending circle, right? So you go back to engaging the advisors, collecting feedback, improving the tool, rolling it out, collecting feedback, improving the tool, et cetera. Like, it does not stop once you've deployed. It's got to continue. And then finally, the last thing that we're doing, so we have a couple of like little books in our booth. It's kind of cool. It talks about some of the integration that we have on our platform. So if you want a copy, come grab it in the other room. And then the other thing that we're doing is a complimentary digital marketing assessment. Essentially, we're meeting with some of you guys already, and we're scheduling these sessions. And it's really like asking a lot of questions about your digital programs in general, right? So what are your advisors doing in terms of web, social, marketing, email? Is there gaps or opportunities for you to do a better job? And then how are you benchmarking against other leaders and your direct competitors? Because a lot of firms that we've done these assessments with, they don't really know. They know they need help, but they don't really know like by how much, right? So seeing what other companies are doing could be really helpful, and we'll give you some tips. So you don't have to buy from us, but at the very least, like we want to make sure that everybody is getting on par with what's expected from the consumers. With that said, that's it for me today. So I don't know if we have some time. If there's questions, feel free to raise your hand, and we'll go ahead and answer those. Otherwise, thank you. Any questions? No? Who wants some chips for tonight? Oh, there you go. There you go. Now we have some hands rising. All right, cool. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for your time. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.